Welcome back to the Dallas Prospect. This is DDP, joined again by Isaiah, and we are going through here at the college football playoff final bracket.
Yeah.
There's some controversy, as there always has to be,
What?
apparently. Apparently going from 4 to 12 does not solve all of the world's problems. We still have famine.
I thought it would. Surely.
We still have poverty.
Just
we
a little
still
bit.
have war, all kinds of things. I don't know where I'm going with this, but this is how college football fans.
Cool.
This is how college football fans react when their team gets
Pretty
left
much,
out.
Pretty much.
So I think that's where my mind was going there a little bit.
I'm in a little bit of a grieving period, but it's fine. It's fine. We're good.
Yep.
We got our wins where we need. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But
I'm okay.
But we do have our final brackets now, so we have the tiers of millions, and a lot of teams rejoicing, just happy to be there.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yep. So let's run through that bracket real quick here. James Madison will play Oregon. That's 12 versus 5, obviously at Oregon, with the winner of that going on to the 4-seed Texas Tech, which still looks weird when I see it, but you know what? Credit to them.
A Texas Tech team playing an important game is wild.
A Big 12 champion Texas Tech team.
All things that I wouldn't expect to hear in a sentence in a post-Mahomes era.
Yep, and the fact they faced BYU was also strange for the Big 12 title.
Very
That's
much
one of those
so.
things that just on paper, like when I looked through
It
the box
doesn't feel
scores, I was
right.
like, huh,
That seems
this
like
looks
a
different
game,
than when we were here.
That seems like a game that I'd play on the college football video game on my Xbox, and it's still weird to see it in video game form, but now I'm actually watching it in real life, and then it's extra weird.
Sure.
Yep.
Then we get the interesting rematch in Norman, Oklahoma hosting Alabama. Bama's going to have a chip on their shoulder, obviously, losing 2 straight to OU, 4 out of 5. Hasn't beaten OU since OU joined the SEC. Now they're fresh off the heels, they being Alabama, of a 28-7 beat down in the SEC title game.
Go Dogs.
I don't see this going well for OU. Like, Alabama's going to be coming in pissed off and in top form. Now, to be fair, they got ridiculous benefit. They're the only 3-loss team in the bracket.
Yep.
They lost the SEC title game and didn't drop a single ranking
Now,
despite that.
let's get into that for just a second.
Sure.
Mind you, Ohio State lost to what is now the #1 team in the country.
Yeah.
If anyone's only going to drop one spot, if at all, that is who you would think would do it. The team that, granted, offensively looked terrible. Ohio State's offense did not look good.
Right.
But that was a 1 versus 2. I would expect a 1 spot or a no spot drop there.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 to 3. That
Sure.
I understand.
Sure.
Alabama played the second worst conference championship performance outside of BYU, who dropped out entirely.
Yep.
So you have 2 games. 1 was close. 1 was a blowout. The things that happened, I expected to go the way that they did.
Yep.
Ohio State dropping 2 spots, you slot the SEC champ up to 2. That makes sense. BYU dropping out for losing to Texas Tech in 2 blowouts this season makes sense. But Alabama playing, like I said, the second worst performance, having -3 total rushing yards, did not move.
Yeah.
9 to 10 is fine. I'm not saying they deserve to drop out. I personally think there is an argument to listen to that they should have. But not moving at all is absolutely insane.
They're the only team to make the college football playoff who, in their conference title game, did not drop at least 1.
And that is a problem.
Yeah, because you've had teams that dropped 3, you've had teams that dropped 5. I think Georgia lost the SEC title game in like 2023 or something, and
Or
dropped
you have
like 4 or
teams
5.
that if we want to push a nerve a little bit, a Florida State, who didn't lose their title game,
But lost their core,
didn't lose a game at all,
Yep.
and dropped from 3 to 6.
Yep.
Now, that's a whole different conversation. They were not going to win a game, and
Sure.
we know this. But they didn't lose, and they did drop out.
Yep.
Alabama did lose, and they didn't even move.
Yep. Yeah. That's one of those things that Nick Saban might be gone, but the brand of Alabama
The
is
bias
still
is
alive
always
and well.
there.
Yes.
Everyone knows there's an SEC bias, but there's an Alabama
teams,
bias, even more so than an SEC bias.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because you have those SEC programs, a Georgia, you have your Ole Miss, your LSU, even a Texas now that they're in the SEC. You have those schools where you're like, if we can help them out just a little bit, just a tiny bit, we're going to.
Yep.
But then you get a performance like they had the other day where you're like, no way, they stay in the playoff.
Right.
And they don't move. They don't budge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting choice there, but they get in. Notre Dame, despite their independent ranking and everything, they only had 2 ranked opponents all year and lost both of those. So on that alone, I'm fine with them not making it.
I don't think they should have been in.
Yep. So Notre Dame doesn't get in. Alabama does. OU's probably not thrilled with this rematch, although I know there are some OU fans that are like, oh, well, we own Alabama. It's like, you've played one real game against them.
Yeah.
Like,
you played down Alabama in Norman.
Yeah. Well, I know OU fans are still thinking back to 2014 Sugar Bowl and the one night of Trevor Knight. Yeah. But that's an outlier, too. That's after kick 6 in Alabama, like, we should be in the national title, but here we are. We're not really focused, not giving our best. And then OU just lands the punch after punch after punch, and Alabama's just eventually like, you know what, whatever. We don't care. Then the rematch came. They beat OU down with Kyler Murray in his Heisman year. Now OU's won the last couple in the SEC. That's all well and good, but you're going to get a very focused Alabama. The OU offense has been anemic all year. It's probably going to be a case where unless the defense and special teams can get you something like 13, 16, 19. Notice I'm going with mostly field goals there. Yep. You're not going to have a shot in this because even when you go to Tuscaloosa earlier in the year, you had one offensive touchdown, and I think that was still set up by a short field.
I do think their best offense is going to be their defense. If they don't get a short field, they're not scoring. Yeah. I think, like you said, Alabama comes in with the chip on their shoulder. They aren't losing again. Mm-hmm. Or at least in their mind, they can't lose again. Yep. Now, things could happen and OU pull off another one.
Literally, they can't. Their season would be over, but yes. It's win or go home. That's their mindset. Yeah, that's a fair mindset.
The only option. But I think Alabama's coming in refusing to lose another one. Despite, this being win or go home, literally, like you said, they cannot lose again. Yeah. But I think in their mind, if they're going to lose to anybody again, it is not going to be OU. It's happened in a year where you didn't think it was going to happen because it was a down year for both teams. And it happened at home, a place where Alabama doesn't lose very often. They're now here and they're like, okay, we're not doing this again. Third time's the charm. We've already lost too many times this season. There's no way. Yeah. So I think you play a different version of an Alabama team that most teams often don't get to see because they often don't lose like that.
Yeah. We'll see what OU's defense is able to do in that. If the offense can wake up, if the offense can give them 2 touchdowns, honestly, I have enough confidence in the defense and special teams combination that OU could win something like like we saw in Tuscaloosa, a 23-21 type game. I think they can do that. The problem is them just cracking 20 in the second half of the season has looked like a real outstanding performance thing. Like they crawled to 17 on the back of 2 busted coverages.
I realistically see you getting 21-24 range wins the game for either team. Yeah. I realistically think first to 21, 24 points is enough. Yeah. But I could also see let's go have a 40-point shootout. Yep. It really depends on who wants to show up to play. Do both defenses come out to play? You're looking at 2-3 touchdowns tops. If both offenses are who come out to play, and that would be a miracle for OU the way that they've looked, you could go score 40 points apiece, and we have one of the best games of the year. So you really do get to see which version of both teams come out. Yeah. And I mean, this is the playoffs, so you could see a totally different version than you've seen. Even with both teams at top form at any point in the year, you could see a better team than that. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out to play in a few weeks on the 19th.
And the prize for the winner is going to Indiana against the number 1 seed, which in itself still sounds strange to me.
Yep. Kurt Cignetti's done a job. Yeah. He's gotten in his bag, as people like to say, in 2 years, going from statistically the worst team ever, the most losses in FBS history, and you just knocked off the defending national champions, the blue blood Ohio State, and he's just casual about it. He's like, well, let's go get ready to play another game in a few weeks.
Yep. Now, it does take a kicker missing a 27-yard chip shot. Yes, that would have tied it. But, it's no matter what, they were going to be, I was going to say at least a 2, but I guess they would have dropped a little bit.
It would have been
But given that performance, I would say 1 to 3 is, or dropping from 1 to either 2 or 3 is probably what they would have done. And regardless, incredible job there.
Yeah, and I think you've really got to applaud Fernando Heisman-Doza because let's admit it, he's winning the Heisman now. That performance might have just given him the Heisman, but first play of the game, you take a shot to the shoulder. Yeah, and I'm thinking instantly, okay, well this game's over. Let's 40-0, Ohio State wins. They're going to finish this whole thing again. Yep. And then 2 plays later, after his brother hands the ball off, you're like, oh, he's not dead. Yeah. And then he goes on to have the performance that he did.
Yep, for sure. Then we got 11 seed Tulane going to number 6 Ole Miss.
That was a bad game the first time.
It was not good. It was not good. We'll see how that goes in this rematch here. Obviously, Tulane beating North Texas in that one with the chance there. So,
I think worth noting, this is 2 rematches that you're going to get from the regular season in the playoff.
both with coaching changes in motion. So,
And this is something that we had thought when this expanded to 12, the committee said you would avoid rematches at least as often as they could.
yeah.
You have not one in Tulane Ole Miss, but 2 with Alabama OU.
Yep. One very much eagerly anticipated. One, not so much.
One I could do without.
Winner of that's going to face Georgia, the 3 seed there. Then we got 10 seed Miami against number 7 Texas A&M. That's honestly an interesting one to me.
I like that one. I like that game.
That's intriguing.
That's my favorite of the 4 first-round games. That's the one I'm looking the most forward to. I do think that's going to be an exciting game to watch.
Yep.
Carson Beck, the experience from being at Georgia, he knows what he's doing in the playoff. I think it's a matter of what version of Carson Beck you get. Because you've seen him play some awful games this year, looking at the Louisville game.
Yeah.
But then you have him play how he did against Notre Dame. You could get 2 versions of a Carson Beck, and it really comes down to which one do we see in the first round of the playoff.
Yeah, totally. Winner of that goes to Ohio State, which, again, we talk about teams that are really, really good and will probably now have a chip on their shoulder.
Yep.
Of course, we know that Ohio State's familiar with not winning conference title and still going on to win. So
Losing to Michigan last year?
doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot to them, but we'll see how that shakes out in this case. So yeah, college football playoff will be really interesting. I've seen some people mocking, like projecting, I should say, not mocking as in like, can you believe that?
Which you could do. But.
Yeah, with Indiana winning it, but it's like they're not a paper tiger at all. Like
No,
it's
not the craziest thing to see. I mean, they've beat.
Surreal,
they
but
beat
it's
the
not
previous number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, on
it
a
is
neutral
a wild
field.
thing to see, but yes, absolutely not a wild prediction anymore.
Yep. Now I will say I don't want to see a rematch of those 2 in the national title game.
I don't want to see that.
Rematches usually aren't that fun, especially when we're talking about a 13-10 game. You know, at least the OU Bama one, I've got my bias in it, obviously, but 2, at least that was a 23-21. Like
there was at least some offense going on in that game.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes with that. But who's just gut feeling? Who's your favorite for the national title? You think?
As much as I don't want to say it,
Yeah.
I'm looking at an Ohio State team that, other than Texas and Indiana, looked fantastic the entire season. There were only 2 teams that played that well against them, and they wouldn't see Indiana again until a national championship game, and they don't lose to the same team twice in one season. They don't really lose to them unless their name is Michigan. They don't lose to the same team 2 years in a row.
Yep.
So I do think if that team gets going again and makes the adjustments from Saturday, they don't lose a game. They don't even come close to losing a game. Now, as much as I dislike saying that, they still look like one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
And then you look on the other side of the bracket, if it's not Indiana, it's Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So I think if there were to be a year where a 4-team playoff made sense, this is the year for it.
Yeah.
Because you have Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech. I think those are the 4 best teams in the country. I do think any of those 4 is really a good bet. I think outside of that, you just get lucky.
Yeah.
If they get that far, and I don't think any of them do. I think really outside of that, Oregon's the only one you could discuss.
Yeah.
And I realistically think it's Ohio State or Indiana just based off of how they've looked all year long.
Ohio State's definitely one that I've got penciled in there as the likely one. Gut for some reason, and it's hard for me to quantify, is leaning Georgia.
I could see it.
Yep, that's the only other direction I go there. Obviously, they'd have a quarterfinal matchup with Ohio State in that case. I think if you could get clear of Ohio State, barring just being decimated by injuries or something, I think it's hard, like, once you beat that team to be like, oh, we don't realistically have a shot against anybody.
I do think this is the year where you see if anyone knocks off the top seed, that is now your favorite.
Yeah.
Because of how good these top 4 teams have looked all year, minus Texas Tech's game against ASU.
Yep.
I do think this is the year that if you knock off that top seed, are you now the favorite?
Yeah. Georgia's on a 9-game win streak, so they've got real momentum behind them as well.
Absolutely. I do think, worth noting, 3 of these teams in the CFP are in coaching transitions. Only one of them do still have their head coach, that being Tulane with John Summerall. He's not going to Florida yet. It's been announced he's the coach at Florida, but they wanted him to come back and finish the job. Interesting that Lane Kiffin couldn't do that, but let's not go there. You also have Ole Miss with their defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, now as the head man, and they keep their offensive coordinator before he leaves to go to Baton Rouge to join Lane Kiffin. And then you have JMU, who now has Billy Napier as the head man. I don't know if he's coaching them in their playoff game or if it's an interim coach, but you still have 3 programs that are playing a playoff game in a few weeks without a head coach.